Welcome, my friends. Today I have a very special practice for you. And no, it is not a Halloween-themed practice, although you might notice that I am wearing these bright orange pants in honor of Halloween. This is the only time you will see me in this color. But this practice is, in fact, all about the core. And we are going to approach it not just from a physical perspective, but also from a spiritual and a psychological perspective. So why is a strong core important? Well, it physically is important because your core, and when we talk about the core, we're talking about not just our abdominals, they are part of it, but we're also talking about our spine, and we're talking about our pelvic region too, and our glutes are a big part of our core. The center of the body. So if we have a stronger core here, it is going to help our lower back become stronger, and many of us suffer from lower back pain. So a strong core will help you be stronger in your back. Will also help you with balance. The stronger your core is, then the more likely you're able to maintain your balance or catch yourself if you start to trip or start to fall, because you use these muscles here to keep you upright, even if you're not always aware of that. Our core is our foundation, right? If we don't feel strong in our core, then the rest of us will not feel strong either. And that applies to the mind. So just as the core is essential to a strong body, it also, I feel there's a connection to being strong in the mind. If we have a strong core, then that foundation applies to the rest of our lives and how we live our life. That idea of then achieving better balance applies to the rest of our life. Being resilient comes from a strong core. So we're going to do a brief meditation on the mat, and then we'll come to standing. And as we center into our practice, I'm going to begin by closing the eyes as we always do. And we're going to find the breath. And just let ourselves come fully into this moment. Let's be present. Let's first and foremost let go of any expectations that we might have of ourselves. We're going to acknowledge that many of the poses and flows that we do in this practice are challenging. And we are not expected to do them in a perfect way. We are not expected to look a certain way. We only need to just be present in the moment and make as much effort as your body and mind are capable of doing today. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling fully. Letting the breath wash over you. And as we continue to bring ourselves into this moment, Let's hear these words from Thích, Nhãt, Hanh. Our true home is in the present moment. To live in the present moment is a miracle. The miracle is to walk on the green earth in the present moment, to appreciate the peace and beauty that are available now. Peace is all around us, in the world and in nature, and within us, in our bodies and our spirits. Once we learn to touch this peace, we will be healed and transformed. It is not just a matter of faith, it is a matter of practice. Allow yourself to breathe in these words, thinking about what we hope to gain from our practice today. Again, without expectation, but we can set perhaps an intention. And as we think about our core, let's check in with it. Let's acknowledge how we're feeling through the core. How does your mid-region feel in this moment? Acknowledge any signs of weakness anywhere throughout the core. Perhaps it's the spine, maybe your back is aching today. Acknowledge those areas of weakness and know that through this practice you are only going to help those areas grow stronger. Taking a couple more deep breaths. One more inhale. Begin to open the eyes. Readjust to the room around you. And let us find ourselves on our feet. As we find ourselves tall at the top of the mat, we bring our feet hip distance apart, feeling ourselves aligned, joint to joint. We roll our shoulders back and down as we feel our chest, our heart center opening. We open our palms, open to receiving the goodness of this practice. We continue to be guided by Thích, Nhãt, Hanh and his wonderful words as we breathe in and out. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel flesh. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect things as they are. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. Let's take some breaths together. As we inhale, sweep up, bring the palms together, and all the way down to the heart. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale, palms to prayer. Inhale. Sweep up and release to the heart. Inhale. And exhale. Give me one more big breath. Inhale. Remind yourself of your intention if you set one today. Pause for a moment here. Bow the head towards the heart. Finding gratitude. Inhale, reach back up now. And exhale, release your gratitude. This time, let's come down towards the mat. We're going to inhale, reach up, and exhale, take a forward fold. Nice flat back as we come down. And let's just hang here for a moment. Let the arms dangle. Give yourself a little sway or shake. Shake out the head and nod back and forth. Maybe grounding onto the elbows. Just choose whatever feels good to you right now. Spending as much time as you like in your forward fold. When you are ready, we are going to step back, one leg at a time. Big step back, gently bring the knee down and step your other knee onto the mat. In our tabletop position, let's go ahead and start with some cat and cows. If your knees are bothering you already, if you think they will bother you, feel free to roll up your mat behind you. Roll it up and use that as cushioning, or you can always place an actual cushion or rolled up blanket underneath. All right, fingers are spread widely, and we start with our cow. Inhale, beginning to drop the belly down and lift the chest. Push your tailbone up as you gaze up. And exhale, now begin to pull everything in, belly in, rounding the spine, dropping the head for cat. Let's inhale again, back to cow, lift, and exhale. To cat. Couple more times. Inhale. Exhale. Imagine that you're feeling each vertebra. Inhale. And exhale. And one more time. Inhale. And exhale. top, come back to neutral, and then feel free to give yourself a little shake side to side of those hips. A little twist maybe, or even making circles here. We can start to just circle down and around a couple of times. Other direction. And come back. Now finding child's pose, big toes together, knees apart. Sit back, reach those hands long, and relax the head. Breathe in deeply. Enjoy this moment. And we return to all fours. I am going to unroll my mat back out, but you can feel free to keep it rolled up if you need it for your knees. We're going to find a spinal balance. This is great for not only balance, obviously, in the spine, but your core too. Your core is going to be working as you balance. Let's take the right leg back. Let's lift that leg, flexing the foot, and just lifting to hip height, so where you can create a long line. Staying here or adding the opposite arm, reaching forward. Gazing at the mat. Now think about pulling again that core in. Finding the breath even as you engage the core. Keep the breath flowing. And release. Let's find it on the other side. Left leg extends back, lifting. And if you feel steady enough, reaching with that right arm. Now it's important here that we just keep our gaze down at the mat. So we're not looking up here in front. I know that's tempting. But we want to keep the neck and the head in line with the spine. Practicing safe alignment. Breathe in one more breath. And release. All right, we're going to add a flow to our spinal balance. Starting on one side with the right leg and the left arm reaching. And if you're only doing just the bottom half, you will just be bringing knee into the chest and extending back out. So we can start here. If you feel good with your spinal balance and extend the left arm, then let's inhale, exhale, back out. Inhale, rounding, and exhale, long. And again, a couple more times. Inhale, and reach, and one more. Extend, and release. Let's try the other side now. Left leg. And again, we can start with just the leg and push back, and we can stay with just the leg. Inhale, push back, or we can add the opposite arm. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. This is the last one. Exhale and release. So that's already core activation for us. All right, let's try again, a little different. So this will be the last time now in our spinal balance position. Right leg back. Now this is a little more challenging, that we're going to take our opposite hand to our head. And we're going to crunch in and out. Now, if you feel like this is not working for your balance, then go back to just the leg. Or, option is, you can do just the upper body too. And you're going to still work some of your obliques, which is what we call our side abs. I'm going to do a little bit longer here, so one more. And release. Okay, last time. Left leg, and now right hand to the back of the head. Inhale, crunch, and exhale. Inhale. And you don't have to touch the knee with the elbow. We're just moving towards the knee. Any kind of twisting is going to work into those side abdominals. Couple more. And last one. And release. Finding child's pose again. Bring those knees out wide. Sit it back. Relax for a moment. Coming back up to our hands, we are going to do a little bit of plank work. I know planks can be kind of a dreaded word, but we're going to either stay on our knees. We're only going to move to our toes if we feel strong enough, because it's better to have good form and stay on your knees than to have poor form and be on your toes. Planks can compromise your lower back if we don't have good form when doing that. So only go where you're able to go, as I always say. Our modified plank means our knees are just behind our hips. So we are not with our 90-degree tabletop, but we're at an incline. So we can walk those knees back, and here we are in our modified plank. So just seeing how this one feels, we are going to do a couple of push-ups, and don't worry, not many, but just a couple. And I'm going to show you two different push-ups. So first is our shoulder push-up. I am slightly rotating my hands inwards, and I'm keeping them wide, at least, well, actually a little wider than shoulder distance apart. I am going to still keep them roughly under my shoulders, hands and wrists under the shoulders. And then we're going to do a push-up and elbows come out to the side. Down and up. Now, if that's too much, then from your tabletop position, just lower your chest. Work it here. There's an option for everybody to build up to this. So wide elbows pointing to the side and just lowering the chest. Then, little by little, you can walk those knees back. You can start increasing that incline till you're ready for your push-up. All right, come to child's pose. Give it a rest and breathe. With our push-ups comes not only core strength, but back strength and shoulders. That's why we feel it so much in our shoulders. The second kind of push-up, which we're going to add to it, we're going to add a side plank to it, is our tricep push-up. This is what we do when we do our sun salutations. It's essentially the same. So again, if you're on just in your tabletop on your knees, this time your hands are shoulder width apart, no wider, so they should be a little narrower. And as you lower down, I'm doing your first option, very modified option here. Your elbows go back. So they're not going out to the side like we were before, but see now they're grazing, they should be grazing your sides. So this is your first low option. If you can go back to your modified plank, then we try the same here. And we feel more of those elbows grazing our sides. And then we add a side plank. So I'm going to pivot on this bottom knee, my right knee. I'm going to open up to you. And I'm going to then extend my top arm. This is our modified side plank. And this is going to help with our side abs again, our obliques. We can even stretch over if you have the shoulder flexibility, and that's going to add a nice long stretch to your top side. And then come back to your tabletop or plank. Let's do another tricep push-up. So narrow hands, elbows go back, and open up now to your other side. Maybe stretching that arm over, taking a breath, coming back to the center. Next one is going to be building off of that, a little challenge. So do one tricep push-up, open up back to your first side that you did in your side plank. And we're going to add a little bit of movement to this. We're going to start to lift the top leg and lower, maybe reaching the hand towards the leg. That's optional. Lift, head. For just 2 more. This practice has a lot of Pilates influenced elements in it as well. So it's more of a yoga Pilates that we're doing today. Push up. You can leave the push up out as well. You don't have to do it for each one. Come back to the other side and lift. Lift. 3 more. Come back to the center, give yourself a break again. Sit back. Let the breath slow down, let your heart rate slow back down. Now for this next one, we're done with our push-ups, thankfully, but we're going to come down to our forearms. And we're going to open up into a forearm side plank. So let's bring forearms parallel to each other here. Again, elbow is going to be roughly under the shoulder. And then we're going to open up into a side plank. Same idea, but we're probably going to feel it a little differently, and perhaps a little more intensely in the core. This time we're going to add a little movement of a little pulse. Pulsing the hips up, pulse for 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Come back to the center and just transition right over to the other side. Into that side plank and pulse, pulse, pulse. And if you don't want to do the pulse, then you just hold it for as long as you're able to and rest when you're ready. Pulsing for 3, 2, 1. Come back to the center and find your child's pose. Breathing deeply. We're going to come back out again. Same place as before. Forearms parallel. Got 1 more little side plank flow to do. Open up again to that forearm side plank. And this time, lifting, just like we did before when we were on our hand, lifting that top leg. Maybe reaching the hand. But here is the added challenge. Feel free to take it or not. You certainly don't have to. We're going to drop the hip down, and as we lift, lift the leg. And drop, and lift. And drop it, and lift. That's it. Drop, and lift. For 2. And last one. Whew. I definitely feel those. And come back to the center. Over to the other side. Break is coming after this, right? So we start with the leg lift. And we're reaching. And then we decide if we want to drop the hip and then lift and reach. Drop and lift. Drop and lift. Drop it. Reach. And that was our last one. Coming back to the center. Finding our child's pose again. Resting a little longer here. And since we were working our sides, let's take a couple of side stretches while we rest in child's pose. Let's walk the hands over to one side. Reach them long. And over to the other side. Reach. Great. Now back to the center. All right, so we are ready now to come up into another forearm pose, but this time it is a dolphin. So we haven't even done downward dog yet, and we will get to that after this, but let's stay on the forearms for now. You can bring your hands together like this, like into prayer. You can interlace the fingers, or you can cup the hands. It is entirely up to you, but from here, we're going to tuck those toes and lift our hips up, just like we would for downward dog. And we're going to just hold it here for a moment, gazing down at the mat. You can feel free to shake those knees out a little bit. Don't worry about the heels being off of the mat. Hold and breathe. And then think about pulling your belly button in and gently release the knees down. All right, we're going to now finally come up into downward dog with our hands shoulder distance apart, fingers spread widely, tuck the toes, and lift those hips, walking that dog out. Still thinking about core engagement here. Every time we use that word engage, it really just means we're thinking about contracting, pulling in slightly. Think about it as sucking in maybe halfway, not all the way. You still need to be able to breathe, but you feel a little more tightness through that core region. All right, let's come into a three-legged dog. Lifting the right leg, and here is our challenge. We can either just lift this leg and drop it down, and then lift the other leg and drop and alternate a couple of times, or we can lift the leg, pull it through,
knee. And then lift back up. And again, pull it through. You don't have to touch the elbow, just aiming towards it. Pull it through. One more. And release. Left leg lifts. Pull it across towards the opposite elbow and lift. Push back up. 2 more. One more time. Lower down. Drop those knees gently. Come back to your child's pose. And if you weren't getting sweaty before, if your heart rate wasn't raised before, they should have probably after those. Take a moment as well if your wrists are starting to feel some of them work. Just take a moment to roll them out both directions. And maybe give them a little bit of a stretch here on each side. That is it for our plank work. It's enough planks for today, I think. We are going to come all the way down onto our bellies. And here we're going to do some what's usually called Supermans, but I'm going to call them Superwomen's today. And these are great for working both ends of your core, upper and lower core. We're going to also strengthen the spine with these. Again, you have options though. In fact, I think we'll start with our first option, which is just to work on the upper body first. So let's really anchor your tops of your feet to the mat. And let's begin with elbows wide. Fingers are just pointing towards each other. And we're lifting just the chest. Inhale and exhale, lower. Inhale, lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift. Again. One more time. And lower. Now we're going to do the bottom half, where we can rest our head. We can rest it down on the hands, on the forearms. And let's now lift as much as we can of the legs. So we might just be lifting maybe just a couple inches, but if you can, even if you cannot lift very high, think about activating these glutes back here as you lift. The more you squeeze them, the more we are working into the muscles. And lift. Think about pressing soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. One more. Right here, last one. And because we were bending our lower back a little bit there, bend your knees and just sway your feet side to side. Just release some of that lower back. Now we put it together and we are going to lift everything. But if you'd like to still do one half or the other, by all means, please choose what works for you. We can keep our elbows wide, or maybe this time we bring our arms all the way out. And we begin to lift everything, arms, chest, and legs, and lower. Inhale, and exhale. Lift, and lower. Now we're going to add some options for the arms. We can bring the arms in front, but as we lift, pose one more time, pushing through the hands. And take your time here to round the back, pulling in, again, the belly button, and rounding and feeling, probably more than before, feeling this child's pose as a stretch. When you are ready, we're going to come to seated position. And I'm going to just sit to one side and swing the legs in front. We're going to do a couple of seated core exercises and then find ourselves on our back and we start to wind down. Let's try out a boat pose. We've done a boat pose in a previous practice. Today we're going to add a little bit of twisting to it as well, just to intensify some of the core work. So feet can start together, knees together, and we can even start by bracing ourselves as we lift those feet together. We can continue holding for support. We just want to make sure that we're keeping a flat back and we don't start to slouch like this. This is one where we are not rounding. We're not focusing on rounding, but we're trying to stay up and tall. So balancing here on your sit bones is activating those abdominal muscles. They're helping you stay upright. And if you want to challenge yourself more, if this feels good, try to let go of the legs. If you feel good here, maybe try to straighten your legs, maybe up to tabletop like this, parallel shins, or maybe straightening them all the way. And if you want even more of a challenge, open your arms up wide and notice how that feels different. Every time you move and add an option, notice where it changes in the body. Shaking is okay, means you're working hard. It's a good shake. And release. Go ahead and hug those knees. You can even take them apart if you wish, so you can drop your head and round your back. Just give yourself a big hug. Love yourself in this moment and love how hard you are working and the effort you're putting into your practice. All right, let's come back to our boat, and this time we're going to add a little bit of movement side to side. So boat of choice here. We can keep our knees bent. And if you don't want to release your hands from your legs, then you're just going to hold. You're just going to keep working on holding boat. If you can release the hands, let's bring them to prayer. And as we hold that boat, we're going to twist from one side to the other. Just upper body twisting here. Now, where do you feel it? Good. And I'm just going to keep my knees bent for this one because I feel it enough here. Twist and come back to the center. Release it back to the mat and hug again. In fact, we're going to keep hugging but on the mat. So go ahead and grab under your thighs again, roll yourself down. As you come back down, then pull your knees into the chest and keep wrapping your arms around them, perhaps more tightly now. Little rock side to side. We're going to start winding down. Have one more set of work. And then we shall stretch and just melt into our Shavasana. Let's bring feet back to the mat and let's go to bridges. So we're going to start with our regular bridge, which we have done before. Feet are hip distance apart, and we're going to just lift our hips off the mat. Inhale, lift, and as we lift, we are squeezing those glutes again. We're lifting and pressing the hips upwards as we squeeze behind. Think of the power is coming from your glutes, which, as we mentioned, is part of your core. And your core becomes tight at the top. So our abdominals working. Inhale. And exhale. This time, take your arms overhead. Inhale. Reach behind you and exhale. Becomes a full body movement. Inhale. And exhale. And just one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Swaying those knees side to side. We're going to try one more move related to our bridges. It's part of the same set. Crossing the right ankle over the left knee, just above the left knee. And same thing, we're going to try to lift our hips again. This is more challenging. So if this is not for you today, then you can just stay right here actually and just stretch this hip, because we're going to do that anyway. You're going to just keep this right hip open. But if you're ready for that challenge, we've only got just a few, less than our bridge set. We're going to lift our hips and lower. So it's a one-legged bridge with a hip opener. Inhale and exhale. Just 3 more. Lift and lower. Keeping the hip open. And last one. And release. All right, let's go ahead and stretch out the side by grabbing under that leg, that left leg, and pulling towards you to open the hip even more. It's the start of our cool down. Releasing, switching sides, left ankle above right knee, and let's inhale and exhale. Lift and lower. Inhale, lift and lower. I'm still using my glutes, I'm still squeezing for just one more. Release, and then grab under that right thigh, pull towards you. This is our supine pigeon or figure 4 stretch. Feels so good on the hips and the glutes. Go ahead and bring it back down. Bring the knees into the chest again. Rock side to side. And let's bring our arms wide. Let's begin to just drop those knees all the way to one side. Turn your head in the other direction. Begin to allow the body to surrender to the mat. Heavy shoulders, heavy arms. Feel the weight of that hip that's resting extending that top leg. And then switching to the other side when you're ready. Sway to the other side and turn your gaze over that opposite arm. Feel how the weight now has shifted to the other hip. Maybe extending that top leg. It just deepens the twist. So it's only if it feels good to you. And then come back to the center. Come into your happy baby before we release into Shavasana. So grabbing either the outsides of the feet or the insides, or maybe you're grabbing up on your calves. You don't have to reach the feet. You're going to open up those hips wide. If you're grabbing your feet, you can push down into the soles of your feet to really push the hips open. And then option to add a little rock side to side. Which feels very relaxing, especially on the lower back. A little massage for the lower back. And when you're ready, release the feet. Begin to drop those feet down to the mat and find your Shavasana. So whatever that means for you. You could be even staying here, maybe feet wide and knees together. You could try that legs up on the wall pose, or we can just extend all the way out. Turn our palms open. And just begin to fully release into this moment. Closing the eyes and centering again with the breath. Thinking about all that we were able to do on the mat today. Thanking ourselves for just showing up. Being grateful that we could make this time to work on ourselves, both in mind and body.
We conclude with a prayer by Thích, Nhãt, Hanh. May I be peaceful, happy, and light in body and in mind. May I be safe and free from accidents. May I be free from anger, unwholesome states of mind, fear, and worries. May I know how to look at myself with the eyes of understanding and love. May I be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in myself. May I learn how to nourish myself with joy each day. May I be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May I not fall into the state of indifference or be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. May you be peaceful, happy, and light in body and mind. May you be safe and free from accidents. May you be free from anger, unwholesome states of mind, fear, and worries. May you know how to look at yourself with the eyes of understanding and love. May you be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in yourself. May you learn how to nourish yourself with joy each day. May you be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May you not fall into the state of indifference or be caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. May all beings be peaceful, happy, and light in body and mind. May all beings be safe and free from accidents. May all beings be free from anger, unwholesome states of mind, fear, and worries. May all beings know how to look at themselves with the eyes of understanding and love. May all beings be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness in themselves. May all beings learn how to nourish themselves with joy each day. May all beings be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May all beings not fall into the state of indifference or caught in the extremes of attachment and aversion. Begin to reawaken the body by reintroducing gentle movement. Wiggling toes and fingers, rotating ankles and wrists. Gently turn the head, reawaken the neck. And sway the feet, maybe even bend the knees. And sway the knees. And feel free to take a big long breath. Inhale, extending overhead and reaching through fingers and toes. How long can you make yourself? And release with a big exhale. We take a moment to bend the knees, roll to one side, reconnect mind to body. And when we're ready, gently pushing ourselves back up to the top of the mat. This has been a beautiful practice, a challenging one, so I congratulate you for trying it out with me today and perhaps maybe thinking of some goals along the way that you can set yourself. Let's finish with our breaths together. Our breaths set with intentions for continuing to work on our strong cores, continuing to grow, continuing to progress. Inhale. And release. Again, big breath. And this last, deepest breath, feel your strength here, your great power. Thank you again for stepping onto the mat today with me. Peace be with you.